This story is very unsettling, not because of how it happened, but because of where it happened. Just watch the video and you will see why. On a quiet street in Cleveland, a house that looked like every other held a secret no one imagined. For more than a decade, behind a locked brown door and covered windows, 3 missing girls were alive, and completely hidden. Their families searched. Their faces aged on flyers. Their names faded from the news. Yet inside that house, they were listening. And waiting. The question that haunted the city: how could 3 kidnapped women exist in the middle of a neighborhood without anyone realizing it? The story begins in the early 2000s, in a working-class area of West Cleveland. A neighborhood of narrow roads, small houses, and familiar routines. Nothing about it suggested danger. But in 2002, a 21-year-old woman named Michelle Knight disappeared on her way to a custody hearing. Police believed she had run away. Her case went cold almost immediately. 1 year later, 16-year-old Amanda Berry vanished while walking home from her job at a Burger King. Her family received a phone call the night she disappeared, a voice saying Amanda was fine and not to worry. The call couldn't be traced. In 2004, 14-year-old Gina DeJesus went missing while walking home from school. Despite searches, vigils, and media attention, no evidence ever emerged. 3 disappearances. 3 families left in confusion, and no link connecting them. What no one knew was that all 3 girls were already inside the same house, a few miles from where they vanished, held captive by a man they had once seen as ordinary. The house belonged to Ariel Castro, a 42-year-old local school bus driver. He seemed friendly, well known in the neighborhood, often waving to neighbors from his porch. But inside his home, he had built a system of control that grew darker over time. Michelle Knight was the first to enter. Castro lured her with the promise of giving her a ride. Once inside, he locked the door behind her, bound her, and carried her to a small upstairs room. That room would become her world for years. When Amanda Berry disappeared, Castro manipulated her into entering his car by claiming he was the father of a friend. She trusted him enough to step inside. She never got out. As time passed, he added chains, locks, and a series of makeshift barriers designed to isolate each woman from the others. Some doors were reinforced. Some windows painted shut. He used music and television to mask noise. He used fear to prevent escape. The women rarely saw daylight. Their days merged into one long stretch of uncertainty. They existed in separate spaces, sometimes aware of each other, sometimes completely alone. Outside, Castro maintained a normal life. He held barbecues, played bass in local bands, and continued driving a school bus filled with children. People visited his home but never crossed beyond the living room. Rooms were locked. Curtains never moved. Years passed. Rumors faded. And hope grew distant. In 2006, a 4th life entered the house. Amanda Berry gave birth to a daughter. A child who grew up believing locked doors and boarded windows were normal. A child who learned to stay silent, walk carefully, and avoid the sounds that angered Castro. This created the most unsettling question later investigators faced. How did a man maintain a secret family inside a city neighborhood without a single neighbor noticing? The answer was unsettlingly simple. He controlled every variable, planned every movement, and relied on the fact that people rarely looked closely at the ordinary. Over time, the conditions worsened. Castro manipulated the women through a cycle of control, brief moments of leniency followed by long stretches of punishment. He monitored their behavior with obsessive precision. Food, water, noise, movement, everything tightly regulated. Yet the women adapted. They found quiet ways to survive. They counted footsteps, memorized patterns, learned to sense his moods, and waited for a moment when the routine cracked. The city around them changed. New stores opened. Schools renovated. People moved in and out. But the house on Seymour Avenue remained exactly the same. Closed, silent, and unremarkable. Inside, time slowed. Outside, time rushed forward. For the families, each year grew heavier. The missing posters faded from telephone poles. News segments grew shorter. But the questions never went away. On May 6, 2013, after more than 3,800 days in captivity, something finally slipped. That morning, Castro left the house, but for the first time, he failed to secure the main bedroom door where Amanda and her daughter were kept. She noticed the door wasn't locked. She tested it. It opened. But another problem remained. The storm door was still locked from the outside. Amanda pushed against it, forcing a gap just wide enough to scream for help. Neighbors heard the commotion and ran toward her. One of them kicked the door until the frame cracked. Amanda escaped with her daughter in her arms. And the moment she stepped outside, the world around her changed. Police arrived within minutes. The other two women were found soon after, frightened, thin, but alive. The search that had lasted more than a decade ended in a matter of hours. Inside the house, investigators discovered chains attached to walls, secret rooms, and piles of belongings that showed just how long the women had been held captive. The home was later demolished, its absence becoming the final marker of a past the neighborhood wanted to erase. Ariel Castro was arrested the same day. His life unraveled in a matter of minutes, exposing the lies he had maintained for over a decade. In court, he attempted to reshape his actions, insisting he was not a monster, but the evidence left no room for reinterpretation. The years inside the house told the real story. He received a life sentence plus 1,000 years. 1 month later, he was found dead in his prison cell. The women survived the unthinkable. But what they endured remains difficult to comprehend. The emotional scars, the years lost, the moments of hope and despair, none of it can be measured. For them, freedom arrived suddenly, violently, and without any gradual adjustment. The world had changed. Technology had advanced. Entire neighborhoods looked different. They had to rebuild lives that had been brutally paused for nearly half a generation. The most haunting part of this story is not just the captivity. It is the fact that everything happened in the middle of a crowded neighborhood, and no one knew. For 11 years, 3 missing young women lived only a few feet away from everyday life, hidden behind a door that blended into the street. Forgotten by many, but never forgotten by time. And the house that once concealed their suffering now stands as an empty space. In the end, the most haunting truth is the simplest. For 11 years, 3 missing women were never far away. They were just unseen. A reminder that the darkest places are sometimes found in plain sight. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to continue the investigation, the next episode is available now. And if you find value in these stories, subscribing helps us bring you more of them. Until then, stay informed and stay curious.